There was a very interesting tidbit that came out of a recent Field of 68 episode featuring my two former bosses, Rob Doster and Jeff Goodman. Hi, Rob and Jeff. Miss you guys. Hope all is well. Very compelling convo here between these two about Louisville compared to Kentucky. And Rob basically prompts Goodman on, how would you look at these two teams? How would you compare each other? Are they similar in caliber? Are they not? I'm going to play a clip from this, roughly 30-ish seconds here, from Rob setting up Jeff, and then Jeff speaking on one big key difference between Louisville and Kentucky's roster for this season.
Even 12 months ago, I think everybody would have said, yeah, Louisville's behind Kentucky, man. It really isn't all that close. And now both of them are preseason top 10 teams.
Yeah, I think Louisville's made up some ground for sure in this offseason, even though they don't have nearly as much money. I think they're probably $5-7 million short. So I think Kentucky's got.
Drop my phone. That's on me. That's what I get for trying to play a Jeff Goodman clip. The important part of this came through before I fumbled the bag. $5-7 million short. The Louisville roster is roughly $5-7 million short of Kentucky's, but I think they made up some ground, is Goodman's take. Rob framed this as two top 10 teams in the country. I think coming into the season, that is totally fair based on what these two programs have built this offseason. Looking back a year ago, Kentucky was 16th on KenPom, but in and out of the top 10. Louisville was 28th on KenPom, but also had a very good first year from Pat Kelsey. So in that sense, if you take the premise that Kentucky was 16th, Louisville was 28th, and now they're both top 10 teams, I think Goodman is right. Louisville has made up some ground on Kentucky. But the idea that Louisville's roster and what they've put together, and while they're making up the ground talent-wise, they somehow did this by spending $5-7 million less than what Mark Pope spent at Kentucky. Does that seem accurate to you? Does it track? Does it make sense?
Well, it tracks and it seems accurate because my good friend Jeffrey Goodman told me that it is, and I have no reason to doubt my good friend and former colleague, Jeffrey Goodman. Um, $7 million seems like pretty far behind, but I guess if you do like the conversation that has surrounded Kentucky, wasn't it started off that Kentucky's roster is worth 20 million, but that was kind of debunked a little bit.
Dude, numbers on Kentucky have been thrown out that are insane. We've heard up to 20 million, then we've heard no, that's a lie, it's 15 million, then we've heard no, it's 12 million. Like I clearly Kentucky spent as much as anyone this summer, but even at that level, like I've sat on the side here looking at what Louisville's done. Feels like Louisville spent a lot too. It's not like Louisville's had any shortage of resources to bring in players. So the
Yeah,
idea
but
that they could be 7 million short of Kentucky seems like a lot to me.
so at first it does, but then like kind of when you think about it, does it really? Because I mean, you look at how many players Kentucky has, right? Like they are paying like their ninth guy might be like Mo Diabate or something like that, or I don't know. Put whatever ninth guy you want to there. I think it's a guy that's making pretty big money, I would guess. Obviously with Louisville, like you have Michael, you have Woolley, you have Conwell, you have McNeely, um, you have Sonata Frew, I'm guessing as well. But then you also have like guys returning, and you don't really know what they're making, and they got Woolley pretty early on, and you're not even sure what that dollar value amount is for him. I just think Kentucky might just have more players and might be paying more money to certain players. And I think Kentucky, if everything that, if we try to understand Kentucky as best we can, there's always going to be teams behind Kentucky money wise. They're
Yeah.
different. They're different when it comes to money. Just maybe that 5-7 million might seem like a lot, but then I guess when you look at the rosters, it's like, are they paying like Javon Hadley and Kason Pryor these crazy dollar value amounts? I don't really think so.
Okay, but we can take that exact same thought exercise and apply it to the Kentucky side, which I'd like to do in just a moment.
But apparently that's not it though. Like apparently they are paying. I don't like. Is there anyone on this Kentucky team that's making under a million?
Okay, fine, but I guess I like the idea of is Kentucky overplaying all their role players? Obviously they are. Don't we all accept that as a premise? Like, sure, Kentucky has more money than anyone. If you are the 13th guy at Kentucky, you'll make more than being the fifth guy somewhere else. I don't fight that. That's fine. I accept that. I think that's good. If I'm a Kentucky fan, I'm victory lapping this quote, honestly, right? Because if I'm a Kentucky fan, it's we have 7 million more dollars than Louisville every single year. We're always going to be bigger, badder than Louisville. Hey, Tyron Stokes, aren't you choosing between Kentucky or Louisville? Why don't you come to the place with 7 million more dollars and we'll figure something out? That's what I would do. That's how I would carry myself if I'm a Kentucky fan. But if I'm a Louisville fan, I'm carrying myself a completely different way after looking at this because let's be clear about something. And you're Mr. L's up on this channel, aren't you? Whose roster are you taking for this year?
Louisville.
You're taking Louisville's roster over Kentucky's.
Yeah,
And why is that?
I think they got better players.
So the team with 7 million less dollars built what you, Carter Elliott, define as a roster with better players than the team with 7 million more dollars.
Yeah, maybe Kentucky has more depth, but I think I'd take Louisville. Louisville, give me Louisville though.
Yeah, I mean, you beat me to the punch here. If we're going through even just, I guess you would also need to look at like returning players, and obviously Otega Owe costs a lot and fits in here. But let's just look at new additions, guys you had to go out and spend for this summer. If you combine every Louisville addition and every Kentucky addition into one bucket, who would we say are worth the most here?
Louisville's players.
Michael Brown, Ryan Conwell, like Quaintance is probably in the Conwell range.
Mm-hmm.
After that, isn't it like even Woolley and McNeely before you get to Denzel Aberdeen and Mo Diabate?
Yeah.
So again, I like it's fine. I feel like if you're just telling me to accept the premise, like Kentucky will always spend $20 million and they'll overpay for everyone regardless, I can be like, okay, they're Kentucky. That makes sense. But if I heard this, I would be a little off put by the fact like we spent 7 million more dollars on Louisville or than Louisville on our roster, and people like Louisville's roster more than ours. To Goodman's point, Louisville made up ground. And it's impressive as hell because in my mind, before hearing this quote, I just assumed they both spent similar amounts of money. I would have assumed that Kentucky spent probably the most of anybody and got the depth to show for it. But Louisville was probably like top 3 or 4 in spending, would have been my guess based on how loaded this roster is. But this implies something completely different. This implies to me that Louisville built one of the best rosters in college basketball at a discount. And if that's what happens, suddenly I'm looking at Pat Kelsey completely different than I'm looking at him coming into this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, and obviously dollar value amounts with some of these players are very much just guessing games at this point. No one really knows the true number. But like I said, they got Woolley very early on, right? And it was basically them versus Alabama, I believe it was, with where he was gonna go. Um, I assume a player like Isaac McNeely could have went somewhere else and probably got a bigger payday. But I think it's credit to Pat Kelsey and credit to what they're doing. And I don't know. To me, this is just a two sides thing here. Like I feel like if I'm Louisville, I'm saying, oh, I got the better roster. I spent $5 million less than you. If I'm Dark Pope, I'm being like, shut y'all poor asses up. Like I filled out my whole roster and I spent more money than y'all, and I'll see y'all on the 11th or whatever we play. And then also as a little bonus here, because I am L's up, and I also like I rock with Kentucky too. I know people don't like that, but I like Kentucky's basketball team this year as well. I got that 5 million. I'm saving. I'm saving for Mr. Stokes.
Okay.
That little gap right there. That little extra little pocket of money I got there because they wanted to waste it on Cam Williams and them. I'm saving that for you, Tyron. Come on.
Waste. You used the W word there. Wasted.
Waste is strong. Waste is strong. They impulse bought.
Can we play a game?
I don't actually know. No.
We're going to play a game. I'm going to give you just like their line items on a receipt. I am going to give you a player. Not going to give you a cost because we don't know the specific player costs. but under the impression that Kentucky spent $7 more million than Louisville, I want to give you a player name and I want you to tell me if it was a good or a bad spend.
Uh, I feel like that's not fair.
Let's do it. Kentucky spent $7 million more than Louisville. Jaden Quaintance, good or bad spend?
Good.
Jalen Lowe, good or bad spend?
Good.
Otega Owe, good or bad spend?
Good.
I agree on all three of those. Those are great spends. Denzel Aberdeen,
Good.
Mo Diabate.
There's no middle option between good or bad, right?
Nope, it's good or bad.
Bad.
Cam Williams.
Bad.
Are we assuming they paid $1 million to Brandon Garrison, Colin Chandler, Malachi Moreno, Trent Noah, Andre Yelovich, Jasper Johnson, and Braden Hawthorne? Because I got 7 more line items if we're assuming all those guys got 7 figures. But if not, then I'll stop.
Yelovich good. Jasper good. Moreno good.
So everybody good.
Chandler good.
So this was a great ROI offseason for Kentucky, even though they spent $7 million more than Louisville and have a roster you think is worse than Louisville's.
It's not a fair game.
The math ain't mathing for me, Card.
The math never maths unless the math works. It's like, yeah, that I spent that. If I spent that and it got me a banner, I don't give a damn if I paid every single player $5 million. It probably looked like a shitty investment at the
Well,
time.
if you think Louisville's roster is better, it's hard for me to buy your argument that Kentucky's going to get the banner they want. Like if they spent $7 million more, they should have a roster that's $7 million better than Louisville's. And I think for you, again, I'm framing this through what you said because it's your take, but I agree with it. If you weren't going to say it, this was going to be my take. We agree on this. We would take Louisville's roster. So in that sense, how do you not have a better roster if you spent $7 million more than them? It's close, but the fact that it's close is a win for Louisville if they actually spent less than that. I thought they spent close to each other because the rosters are similar.
I mean, but then again, like I feel like you could do the same thing with any like. Do you think they spent $5 million more than UConn? Probably.
UConn's different because a lot of their guys are returnees. They only had a 3-man transfer class. Like, I don't think UConn had to pay crazy amounts of money to keep Alex Caravan. Like, it's just different. It's different. Louisville and Kentucky both added totally new rosters. And yeah, I think, but like, again, to me, I'm the surprise here for me is that they didn't spend the same amount. I thought they got similar caliber outputs from what they spent on. Would have thought they're both top 3 in spending. I would have put Michigan in that too. They have another St. John's, another top transfer class. Probably assumed you all spent roughly 12 to $15 million. But if we're supposed to believe Kentucky spent 7 million more than Louisville here, then yeah, I'm asking for like, what did we spend it on? Because you just called Denzel Aberdeen a good expenditure. What did Ryan Conwell cost? If Louisville spent $7 million less than Kentucky, what did Ryan Conwell cost and what did Denzel Aberdeen cost?
I'm pretty sure Conwell was probably double what Aberdeen got.
You think so?
You didn't Aberdeen get one?
Thought the rumor with Aberdeen was 2.
For real?
I thought, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the same, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Because Conwell should be like double of what Aberdeen cost.
But to Goodman's original point, Louisville has made up ground. It's just, I feel like Pat Kelsey honestly should get more credit. If this roster's $7 million less than Kentucky's and we're both saying we take Louisville's, like, I need to look at Pat Kelsey differently.
Do we eventually ask the question, though?
What's the question?
Maybe we can ask it offline.
That sounds good to me.